Alright, a very good evening YouTube. It's Captain Nabs here with you once again. Wow, it's been a while since I put any videos out on my channel. It's been crazy busy this summer, and never meant for it to just sort of fade away, but just things kept getting in the way, and I've had very little time to really spend on any kind of videos. So I'm hoping that now that fall is here, it's going to change back, and we're going to be able to get at least a couple of videos out every month, just to keep you guys in the loop and provide you guys with some updated information. And the Dash 8 videos are still coming. I have worked on them slowly but surely, but at the end of the day I've only had about maybe an hour a week to work on them. There's a lot of effort that goes into them to make sure that they look good and they're able to convey their information easily. So I'm sorry that it's taken that long, but I think that most of you will agree that the effort is worth it at the end of the day. I'm hoping that they'll come out with more regularity again as we get into the last part of this year. So the real reason why we're here, of course, is to talk about and show off a little bit more of the audio for VATSIM system, AFV for short. And I got a chance to participate in the last beta test on Wednesday, September the 4th. And I gotta say, it was great to see it again in action. I hadn't seen it pretty much since I did my first beta test videos, which were almost a year ago. So it was great to see it in action. I'm going to show you a little bit more as we go, but before I get into that, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick updates as well, just for the sake of the channel. So this video did not work out quite the way I had planned. First of all, it was kind of spontaneous because I had not been planning to participate in the beta test, and it just happened to sort of fall in my lap that, hey, I was available that evening when I wasn't expecting to be. So it came together very much at the last minute. So there was a technical issue with the microphone, and that it didn't capture my recordings properly as I was making this video. So hence this entire video for me is a voiceover, just to try and recapture. So you'll probably notice that the call sign JetBlue 2517 does not answer ATC ever when you do hear it in this video, and that's because that was me. And it was captured on a different mic, but it wasn't captured properly, so unfortunately I didn't get any of that. So hopefully by getting some of the interaction the other users have, you'll still be able to get a very good sense of what audio for VATSIM sounds like. During the summer, I also had a chance. I did get a few new toys to put to outfit my sim, which was great. Not that it was old before by any means, but I did finally add some nice new toys, as some of you saw in another video. TrackIR was one of those toys I got earlier in the year. This is one of the first times I've really got a chance to use it. So one thing you'll notice is that I did use TrackIR extensively in this video. I love it as a system from a user point. I'm curious to know what you think of it from a perspective of a viewer, because I know it does make things a little shaky. Every time I just move my head, even the slightest, TrackIR captures that. It's great for realism for me as a user, but I'm not sure how that's going to work out for you guys as viewers. So please let me know what you think about it. If you think it's too distracting, too bouncy, too moving while the video is going on, please just let me know. And I probably will consider not using it for videos anyways in the future. I'll still use it when I fly, not making videos, but for making videos I think a chase plane is probably a better tool than TrackIR in most cases. Smoother anyways, not quite as spontaneous as TrackIR, but definitely makes for a smoother video. Other things that I did finally manage to get my hands on were some rudder pedals. Nice little gift to myself. It not quite as game-changing as actually having a full-on yoke. Because I find I still don't do that much hand flying in the sim. It's not hand flying the sim is not realistic compared to the real world. So without the motion feedback, the feeling sensations you get in your body, it's hard to hand fly a sim. You can do it, but it's not really that easy. So it is nice to have rudder pedals. And the place where it really becomes nice is taxiing and braking. I can finally do it much more realistically, and so I've definitely been enjoying that. You'll see that I'm still getting used to them. I've only had them for not even a month. I haven't taken that many flights with them. As you'll see, sometimes my taxiing, I do overdo it. I'm still getting used to how the rudder pedals and the leg match up with the various aircraft. As well, I'm going to also introduce in my channel over the next hopefully month or two some of the aircraft and sceneries that I picked up over the summer. I did have a chance to get a few new things under my belt, and I'm really looking forward to showing them off. And as you can see here, JetBlue A320, the Aerosoft A320 is one of those toys that I got. I've been enjoying this, but I haven't even had all that much time this summer to learn it. I'm hoping to learn it more as the summer goes on. But please don't criticize me too much for my A320 flying. I'm very new to the bus. It's only like my 4th or 5th flight taking it out, so I was really more focusing on previewing and enjoying the audio for VATSIM beta, and my flying is not the best. So please forgive me if I do something wrong with the 320. It's just still a new beast to me, and I'm slowly learning it.
Alpha 2, Bravo, November, cross runway 15 right, hold short, runway 15 left.
So the real reason most of you are here is to check out the audio for VATSIM system one last time, and I'm going to give you some of my impressions of the system as a whole now that I've had a chance to use it again. So as you may remember, I got a chance to participate in one of the first beta tests of this system. That was almost a year ago. It was in November of last year, and it's come a long way since then. The voice quality has basically stayed the same. They've stayed with the same codec, but all the other developments that have been necessary to help implement this new system have come together now, and it's nice to see the final product, pretty much what it's going to look like, I think, when it gets released. So how is the quality of the new codec?
We'll need 22 left tonight, 22 right's too short for us for departure.
ISO 630, roger, you can expect runway 22 left. And ISO 630, runway 22 left, taxi via Alpha, Zulu, Bravo, November, cross runway 15 right, hold short, runway 15 left.
Alright, Alpha, Zulu, Bravo, November, cross runway 15 right, hold short, runway 15 left, ISO 630.
Well, as I showed off in the previous video, it is really good. We're talking TeamSpeak level of quality here, maybe even better than TeamSpeak. It sounds like people are right next to you. You can hear crystal clear what they're saying. There are some people that you will hear some background noise. There's some people that you won't hear quite as clearly. This is now more a reflection of their situation than the codec. Maybe they do have the aircraft speakers, aimed right at them for realistic immersion, which is fine. A lot of real-world transmissions. You hear the engines in the background when someone transmits. You hear the whines, the whirring, the whooshing sounds through the microphone. So that I think that is somewhat realistic, but it sounds very good, and it's not being garbled at the source. So the audio track that's going out over the internet and over the network is the best quality that the user is able to send out. There's no more kind of intentionally using a low-quality codec. So it sounds really, really good, as you'll hear in this video. Are there any other big differences you notice right away? The other big difference that I think most of you will hopefully notice right away, I noticed it pretty much right away, is the drop in latency. The pause between the time you send a recording and the time you get the response has gone to practically zero. It's like having a phone call. It's like using the radio in the real world. There is no more 3-second pause while you wait for the response from the controller. The controller will key the mic and you will hear it the instant they respond.
Cessna 172 Echo Alpha, Boston Tower, you with me?
Affirmative, 2 Echo Alpha.
Roger, 2 Echo Alpha, make your next right and runway 22 right, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, 22 right, 2 Echo Alpha.
And 2 Echo Alpha, just recycle your transponder, squawk 1306.
1306, 2 Echo Alpha.
That, I think, even more than the codec improvement, is going to be the real game changer for the VATSIM network. The lack of latency in this high bandwidth era that we live in is going to be fantastic, especially during the busy events. Across the pond is the one that comes to mind as always being a challenge, taxing the network, especially the voice capabilities of the servers and the controllers trying to work it. People stepping all over each other because of that lag, because they're not sure if a transmission is done, and in 2 or 3 seconds they key the mic and then they block somebody else. I think I won't say the days of that are past, but it's going to be severely reduced because of the lack of latency. You can have a conversation in real time through this new audio system, and that is going to be absolutely great. You hear that a bunch in this video.
Roger, we're cleared for takeoff, November 8, Lima Alpha, heck of a day.
Are there any other important features that are being introduced with the new AFV system? There are a few other features. Blocking is probably one of the other ones that comes that comes across really well, fairly realistically. Sometimes you can hear through the blocking, sometimes the aircraft transmissions block each other completely, and you don't hear anything coming through. And again, that's pretty realistic to real life. It's not always the case that blocking always results in a garbled message you can't understand. Sometimes you'll get both sides of it, sometimes you'll get one more than the other, but I will say that the blocking, it sounds really good. It's uncannily good. It makes me forget that I'm online for a while, and just makes me think that I'm out there bombing around in the real world.
JetBlue 761, you got a stuck mic.
probably can't hear you because of the stuck mic.
And the $64,000 question, is it realistic? My overall impression at the end of this test was yes. Wow. Compared to where we were, certainly, it sounds really good. It sounds very much like the real world. Again, the lack of latency, the higher quality in most cases where you can actually pick up background noises on a lot of mics, which is the case in the real world. The blocking, all of that I think is going to make for a very realistic experience that's almost going to be hard to discern from the real world. So I'm looking forward to this. Yes, a resounding yes. This is a very realistic experience now. It sounds a lot like the real world. So another big question, of course, is will voice unicom finally be supported? I think that the answer is yes. I'm not a member of the technical team and or the board of governors of VATSIM or anything like that. I've just had a lucky user that got to participate in this test. So I don't know all the answers to this, but I do know that there is the capability for it. Basically, all frequencies are supported all the time. If there's no controller online, you can still transmit and receive on a frequency to anybody else who is within range and is tuned into the same frequency. So it will be technically possible to have a unicom frequency. I think that VATSIM wants to support that finally. I can't say that to a certainty, but I do know that all the channels will basically be open all the time. Whatever frequency you have tuned in, other people on that frequency will always be able to hear you, as long as they're, of course, within range. So how does the range reception work? Well, the reception range is going to be automatically calculated for any given aircraft based on their altitude. The higher they are, of course, the further away they can hear anybody else that's trying to transmit, whether it be another aircraft or ground station. For every facility, every center, every tower, there are going to be predefined transmitter locations that are going to be defined by the various organizations within VATSIM. The various ATC organizations are going to define where their transmitters are. And if you're within range, you may be able to hear the controller. As you get further away, they may slowly fade out and get weaker and weaker until you just can't hear them anymore. It's going to be a very realistic system in that respect. It's not going to be just suddenly there you are. It'll be as you fly into somebody, towards somebody, you will slowly get better and better. The various ATC organizations around VATSIM are going to be the ones that actually get to define where their transmitters are. I think it's going to lead to some interesting issues for the first little while for some of the larger coverage areas, the flight service stations, especially the oceanics and the remote areas where there are not really a lot of transmitters and where traditionally pilots have relied on not VHF but just HF communications. I don't know how VATSIM's going to handle this, but I do know that they are working on a very realistic model anyways, so we'll have to see how this all plays out. So are you going to need to download new software? The answer is yes and no. Yes, you will need to download new software, but it's going to be your favorite software. I'm a P3D user. I've really enjoyed vPilot ever since it was first introduced. I think it's a fantastic, very efficient, simple piece of software. And the Audio for VATSIM system is now being rolled out onto all these various platforms. So you'll basically just download a new version of the software you love, and it'll have the new system plugged in there whenever the transition date happens. Same for all the major controller clients that are currently in use, currently supported by the VATSIM network. I know there's a new X-Plane client coming out as well that's being developed pretty heavily in tandem with this. It's not being developed by the VATSIM team, but somebody saw that there was a need for a really good X-Plane client, and it is in the works, and it does support the new one. So you will need to download new software when the new system comes out, but it's going to be the same software that you're used to, just with the new voice system installed in it. And so the final big question, the one that is on everybody's mind, I know you're all asking it right now, when is this system going to finally be released? It's been a year pretty much since I did the first beta test, and it was in development for a while before that. The answer is I don't know to a certainty. I, again, am not part of the VATSIM tech team, just a lucky beta tester who's making you this nice video here, but it was discussed briefly on frequency while I was there. And we're measuring the time now in weeks. It's probably going to be before the end of the month that you're going to see information about the new system going live on the network. This was supposed to be the final beta test. They were hoping for a nice big load test to see how the system worked, work out any last bugs. The system seemed to work pretty flawlessly to me. I did not notice any bugs or issues when I was using the system. So it does seem like it's ready for the big time as long as it can be scaled up to support the whole network. That is probably the biggest problem. But it was mentioned that we are measuring it in weeks. It probably before the end of the month, you can expect to hear about it. And it sounds like they definitely want to have it well up and running long before Cross the Pond. Cross the Pond, I think, is going to be the first real test of this system for this fall when it does happen. And I know they want to be ready for that. And it seems like they're going to, because it's not something you want to drop the week before Cross the Pond. You want to have it running on the network for a month, work out any other bugs before you really load it up with the network's biggest event. But I think it's going to be great. I think this is going to change the way Cross the Pond works, just because it's going to just improve the communication so much, and I think it's going to improve the experience for all the users, for the controllers and the pilots. So that's it. That's my summary and my first impressions of the, or last impressions perhaps, of the last beta test of the audio for VATSIM system. I know a lot of you have already gotten your hands on it and also tried it out in some of the previous beta tests. I think it's going to be great for the VATSIM network. I think it's going to revitalize the network, because it's such a great change, such a needed change. It's been a long time getting here. There's been a lot of technical hurdles. There's been a great team working on it, working really hard, volunteering a lot of their time. Keep in mind that everyone who's done this is a volunteer, so if you see them out there, thank them, because they've given a lot of their time and a lot of themselves to improving this network. But I do think this is going to be an absolute game changer. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Questions. I'm not part of the development team or anything like that, but I'd be happy to try and answer any questions as far as I know. And I look forward to seeing you guys all more on the channel. Please subscribe, and I will hopefully have some more videos out for you later this month. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you all out there on the VATSIM network.
Steering's 3513, contact Boston Tower 128.8.
128.8, Steering 7513. Good night, thanks.
Cap 811 heavy Boston departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 4000.
4000, Cap 811 heavy.
United 822, just start reducing to your final approach speed as you're able there.
Yeah, we kind of blew through the glide slope we're working on at United 822.
Roger, Zebra 2517, turn left heading 240, intercept the localizer. American 164 Quebec, turn left heading 290.
Left 290, American 164 Quebec.
United 822, you can be able to get down there, you want me to bring you back around?
Yeah, we'll go back around United 822.
United 822, cancel approach clearance, fly heading 090 and climb and maintain 3000.
090, 8000. Excuse me, sorry, 3000, yeah, 822.
JetBlue 2517, 1 mile from Wayne, cross Wayne at 3000, clear ILS runway 22 left approach.